Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US and UK urge citizens to leave Lebanon immediately amid soaring tensions in West Asia. Israel's Iron Dome defense system intercepts barrage of rockets fired from Lebanon into Israel early on Sunday. Renewed rioting sweeps British cities following the murder of 3 young girls in northwest England. Thousands rally in Venezuela opposing Nicolas Maduro's poll victory claims. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado joins the protesters. At Paris Olympics, Indian hockey team to clash with Britain in the quarterfinals, while shuttler Lakshya Sen will battle it out in the semis. Amidst the growing tension in West Asia, the US and UK issued warnings to citizens in Lebanon to leave the country immediately on Saturday. The US Embassy in Beirut has urged its citizens to leave Lebanon on any ticket available, whereas giving similar warning, UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy said that the regional situation could deteriorate rapidly. The recent unrest was triggered by the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh on Wednesday and killing of Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr in Beirut. It is feared that the terror group Hezbollah could play a heavy role in any such retaliation, which in turn could spark a serious Israeli response. As tensions continue to rise in West Asia, Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system went into action early on Sunday, intercepting a barrage of rockets. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden expressed hope that Iran would stand down despite its threat to avenge the assassination of Hamas's leader in Tehran, as fears mounted that Israel-Gaza conflict could escalate into a wider West Asia conflict. Haniyeh's death was one in a series of killings of senior Hamas figures as the Gaza conflict nears its 11th month, while Hamas said it had begun a broad consultation process to choose a new leader. Seeking to bolster defense in the West Asia region in response to threats from Israel's foes, the Pentagon said on Friday it would deploy additional fighter jets and Navy warships to the region. Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guard said on Saturday that Hamas's leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in Tehran by a short-range projectile with a warhead of about 7 kilograms. Iran and Hamas have accused Israel of carrying out the strike that killed Haniyeh hours after he attended the inauguration of Iran's new president. The New York Times reported that the explosion which killed Haniyeh was a bomb that was covertly smuggled into the guest house where he was staying in Tehran 2 months ago. And foreign governments continue to warn their citizens to leave Lebanon immediately amidst fears of all-out war between the country's Hezbollah militant group and Israel. It comes as the US moves military assets to the region, pledging to defend Israel against any major attacks from Iran or its proxies. From Beirut, DD India correspondent Trent Murray gets us more.
Wait and watch to see what happens next in this ongoing conflict. We of course know Hezbollah, which is based here in Lebanon, has vowed to respond and said there is a new phase of the war with Israel given that airstrike here in the southern suburbs of the city earlier this week. Many foreign governments also clearly concerned about this escalation and where this situation is heading. We saw the US government this Saturday advise any Americans in Lebanon to book any commercial international flight that is still available, regardless of the destination, even offering financial assistance to help people purchase expensive last-minute tickets. I think that is an insight into the American thinking right now. They clearly believe that this situation could be on the brink of a major war. Of course, Hezbollah forms an important part of what is described as the axis of resistance by them, that is led by Iran. They too are vowing to respond to a separate airstrike in Tehran. Of course, we are seeing military assets being moved into the region, largely from the United States. Washington has pledged to help Israel defend itself, but the concern is that these sort of unwritten rules of engagement, which have been in place since October of last year between Israel and Lebanon, well, they now have been torn up by that airstrike, and we could be about to see a very dangerous and deadly phase of this conflict. Diplomats, you can imagine, working the phones right now, trying to avoid that. A reminder, the Indian government is warning any Indian nationals in Lebanon right now to make plans to leave. Trent Murray for DD India, Beirut.
All right, Trent Murray is joining us from Beirut. Trent, good morning. Now, we've told our viewers how foreign governments are advising their nationals to leave Lebanon immediately. What more can you add to this?
A list of governments, the French government, the British government joining the Americans and others in warning their citizens to leave immediately. We of course know that the situation though to leave is difficult because right now there are just not that many flights coming in. Most European carriers have cancelled their services because of safety concerns. It really is now left up to MEA, which is Lebanon's national flag carrier, as well as a handful of other airlines from the Middle East like Qatar, Emirates, and also Turkish Airlines to some degree offering flights. But if you look at the departure board right now at Beirut International Airport, you'll see it's just a sea of red with cancellations, and for that reason there are just not that many seats to get. And so we know that diplomats are working again to advise people to leave, but also to try and defuse the tensions right now. But it does really feel like the situation is on the brink. We have seen overnight Hezbollah and Israel trade rocket fire once again on that border region. Several Hezbollah fighters were killed, according to the Israelis, in an airstrike. And I think I just want to briefly, if I could, because I know many Indian nationals right now here in Lebanon are probably watching this with some concern. We've got some details I want to share for any Indian nationals here. There is an email address which has been set up. It is CONS, as in consulate, cons.beirut@mea.gov.in. I'll read it again, cons.beirut@mea.gov.in. We are being told by the External Affairs Ministry that diplomatic staff are on standby here in Beirut to assist any Indian nationals in need.
All right, Trent, how do you also see the situation build up from here on? Because the US is moving military assets in the region. At the same time, retaliation, Iran is expected to retaliate. And, how do you see the situation, the spillover effects of this situation further, developing from here on?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously it's always difficult to predict the future and what will happen, but I think what we can say with some degree of certainty is that some form of big retaliation is going to come. I mean, all of the public rhetoric from Hezbollah, from Iran and several of the other proxy groups are that it is coming, but what it looks like, well, we're just not sure. You might recall back in April this year, Iran responded to an attack on its embassy in Damascus, and it responded with around 300 missiles and drones, all directed at Israel. Now, at the time, they were telegraphing that publicly, or, well, not really publicly, but certainly quietly to countries in the region that, look, this is coming. And so there was a degree of preparation for it, which is why the Americans assisted the Israelis in shooting down those projectiles. This time, the Iranians are being a bit more tight-lipped. We understand they are not speaking to other countries in the region, and so it appears they're trying to hold a degree of surprise right now in when and how they will attack Israel. And for that reason, it sort of adds to this level of uncertainty right now, certainly here in Lebanon. I think people know something is coming, they just don't know when or what.
All right, Trent, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And from here, we turn focus to the crisis in Venezuela. Some 2,000 people had been detained in connection to crimes during protests over the controversial results of the presidential elections. During a rally in Caracas, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro pledged maximum punishment and accused the detainees of committing serious offenses. Venezuela's electoral authority proclaimed Maduro the winner in last Sunday's vote. The published election results sparked widespread allegations of fraud and protests. Also, security forces cracked down on protests, which Maduro's government labeled as part of an attempted US-backed coup. The presidents of Brazil, Mexico and Colombia called for Venezuela to release detailed voting tallies amid the dispute over presidential election results. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado joined her supporters protesting on the streets of Caracas. Supporters were happy to see Machado amongst them because the leader, in a Thursday op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, said that she was in hiding and feared for her life. In addition to Caracas, demonstrations took place in cities including Valencia, Maracaibo and San Cristobal. Marches backing Maduro were expected to begin later, yet some of his supporters were already on the streets. Venezuelans across Latin America took to the streets on Saturday to protest and demand transparency and justice in their home country's recent election results. In Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital, demonstrators gathered at the obelisk monument, waving flags and singing the national anthem. In Mexico City, protesters rallied at Simon Bolivar's monument to protest against the election of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The Venezuelan community in Bogota, Colombia's capital, protested at Simon Bolivar Square, chanting slogans and calling for international intervention to safeguard democracy in Venezuela. Meanwhile, in Peru, attendees prayed and said that they were defending their votes outside the Venezuelan embassy in Lima. The Venezuelan community across Latin America has grown significantly in recent years, with many fleeing economic crisis and political instability. Renewed street violence in British cities on Saturday left several police officers injured as they faced a fourth day of unrest following the murder of 3 young girls in northwest England earlier in the week. A shoe shop in the east coast city of Hull was set on fire amid the violence, while mounted police clashed with protesters in the southwestern city of Bristol. Authorities in Hull said 4 people were arrested and 3 officers were injured while dealing with protests where bottles were thrown. Riots involved hundreds of anti-immigration protesters have erupted in several towns and cities in recent days after false information spread rapidly on social media that the suspect in Monday's knife attack at a dance class for children in Southport was a radical Muslim migrant. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump with his running mate J.D. Vance was on campaign in Atlanta in Georgia on Saturday. While congratulating Russian President Vladimir Putin on recent prisoner swap, he pulled up Biden for setting bad precedents. During his campaign in Georgia, the former U.S. President Donald Trump hit hard on his contender Harris, saying that if she came to power, there will be huge flow of illegal immigration. He also attacked Harris's racial identity. On the issue of trade, he said that more stringent taxes would be imposed on China and other countries on the basis of reciprocity.
If I win on day one, we will begin the largest deportation operation in America. To further protect Georgia workers, I will revoke China's most favored nation's trade status. I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. If China or any other country makes us pay a 100 or 200% tariff, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff of 100 or 200% right back.
Meanwhile, supporters of Donald Trump want him to ask for a vote on the basis of the good work done during his tenure as president of the U.S. Trump supporters who gathered at the rally in Georgia were quite enthusiastic about his victory, but cautioned him against raising racial identity of his contender, Kamala Harris.
I don't think that's going to do him any good, but she's a chameleon. She's what anybody wants her to be. That's what she is.
I mean, he'll debate her anytime, anywhere, and I think it's hysterical that she's like challenging him. There's no way she could keep up with him. She can't. She hasn't done one press conference.
Not only that,
nobody's voted for her.
In Bangladesh, protesters have outrightly rejected Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's proposal for talks and announced a one-point demand for the resignation of the government. The coordinators of the quota reform movement announced it at a massive rally at the central Shahid Minar in Dhaka on Saturday evening. Nahid Islam, Sargis Alam and other key coordinators of the movement also said that they will enforce the non-cooperation movement starting from Sunday. Nahid Islam, Sargis Alam and other key coordinators of the quota reform movement announced it at a massive rally at central Shahid Minar in Dhaka on Saturday evening. They also said that they will enforce the non-cooperation movement starting from Sunday. The announcement came after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina called upon the agitating students to sit with her at Gono Bhaban to end the violence centering the quota reform protests. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, residents brace up ahead of tropical storm warning issued for southern Florida. Indian Air Force launches intense relief and rescue operations with advanced radars and drones, even as Wayanad continues to reel under flood fury. A musical extravaganza, Akashvani Music Concert 2024, being held at Akashvani's Rang Bhavan Auditorium in New Delhi.
This summer, the world turns its eyes to Paris. And DD India brings you every heartbeat, every victory and every story. Introducing our special coverage of the Paris Olympics. Experience the passion, the drama and the triumphs. With exclusive reports, expert analysis and up-to-the-minute updates. Join us as we bring the spirit of the Olympics to your screens.
Get ready for the ultimate sporting extravaganza on DD India.
DD India presents Champions Day Paris. Only on DD India. Every day at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's get to weather updates from across the world now. Tropical storm Debbie is expected to whip up rain and high surf as it churns over Gulf Coast waters on Sunday, crawling north along Florida's coast before making landfall as a life-threatening hurricane on Monday. A tropical storm warning is in effect for extreme southern Florida and stretching as far north as the Fort Myers area. Powerful ocean surges are forecast for Bonita Beach northward that could bring powerful sea waves further inland than normal. Firefighters were deployed in eastern Bolivia to extinguish rampant fires that have plagued Santa Cruz region in recent weeks. A total of 17,000 fire points have been tracked since January through July, the most ever seen in that period in the country. Bolivia is grappling with the record number of fires in the first 7 months of the year. The flames sent villagers fleeing, killed wildlife and charred the landscape. Large fire blazing next to the main road as thick plumes of smoke rose from the shrubbery. As rescue operations in South India's Wayanad are underway, around 219 bodies have been recovered so far. 206 people remain missing. Identifying bodies from Chalia River in Nilambur continues to be challenging, with 67 unidentified bodies found till date. The Indian Air Force has launched relief and rescue operations simultaneously in Wayanad for the fourth day. IAF contingent has been deployed at Calicut Airport towards HADR in Wayanad following the devastating landslide. On Sunday morning, IAF rescue team launched an ALH helicopter to rescue 2 stranded survivors from base of Suchi Para waterfalls near Chural Mala village in Wayanad. Suneet Sukumaran joins us from Wayanad. Suneet, we've told our viewers how the IAF has also pressed into service the helicopters and radars and drones. Get us more on the relief and rescue operations. We tell our viewers that 219 bodies have been recovered so far.
The search and rescue operations to locate the survivors and to find the dead bodies of the people who are the victims of this landslide are still underway. As it's entering the 6th day, you can see in the background like the still search operation is underway, and they are they just found a dead body from that area where the active search operation is going on. And the weather condition is so favorable for this rescue operation today. So the operation is in full swing, I would say. And they are using all the most modern machineries, including radars, drones, and all other facilities to locate the bodies. And they are taking the inputs from the local people as well to recover the bodies. And meantime, the rehabilitation programs also is going on the other side. A cabinet subcommittee has formed by the chief minister, evaluating all the situation, including the relief operations and the rehabilitation operation. Everything is going on. And according to the chief minister, when he briefed the media yesterday, he says this place is no longer, safe for human inhabitants. So definitely they are planning to move all the people who are remaining in this area to a safer location and to build a township there and to relocate the entire people to that area. So these are the latest updates that we can share at this moment.
All right, Sunil, thank you for joining in with those details. And a rescue operation in North Indian state of Uttarakhand is also underway as work has started on building a footbridge in the washed out area between Sonprayag and Gaurikund. Besides evacuation, Army is also engaged in restoring the roads and building bridges to speed up rescue efforts. The Indian Air Force helicopters Mi-17B5 and Chinook navigate the challenging weather in the Uttarakhand hills. Despite the inclement weather conditions, IAF helicopters have transported 1 ton of load, evacuated 3 patients requiring oxygen, and safely recovered 43 passengers, including women and children. India's Jammu and Kashmir's administration has terminated the service of 6 government employees, including 5 policemen and a teacher, for their alleged involvement in anti-national activities. The terminated employees were identified as Saifuddin from Doda, selection grade constable; Farooq Ahmed Sheikh, head constable from Kupwara; Khalid Hussain Shah, selection grade constable from Kupwara; Rahmat Shah, constable of Kupwara; Irshad Ahmed Chalku, selection grade constable of Baramulla; and Nazam Din, a teacher in the education department from Poonch. The order stated that Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha was satisfied that after considering the facts and circumstances of the case and on the basis of the information available, that their activities are such as to warrant their dismissal from service. And now we get to all the updates from Paris Olympics. Day 9 of the Paris Olympics is set to be an exciting day for the Indian players. The men's hockey team will take on Britain in the quarterfinals, while shutter Lakshya Sen and boxer Lovlina Borgohain will be on the cusp of winning medals. In shooting, Vijayveer Sidhu and Anish Bhanwala will try to qualify for the final. DD India's correspondent Narayan Singh gets us more on this.
Now let's take a look what's in store for Indian contingent on day 9 in Paris Games. First, talk about shooting. In 25-meter rapid-fire pistol men's qualification, Vijayveer Sidhu and Anish Bhanwala will be there. And speeds women qualification day 2, Maheshwari Chauhan and Raza Dillo will be there. In golf, men's individual stroke play round 4, Shubhankar and Gaganjeet Bhullar will be there on golf course. Talking about hockey, India will face Britain. And if you talk about women's 300-meter steeplechase, in heat 1, Pawel Chaudhary will be there. In men's long jump, in Group B, Jaswin Aldrin will be there. Talking about boxing, in the women's 75 kg quarterfinal, Lovlina Borgohain will face Chinese boxer. In badminton, in men's singles, Lakshya Sen will face world number 2 Victor Axelsen of Denmark. In sailing, in men's dinghy race 7 and 8, Vishnu will be there. In women's event, Netra Kumaran will be there. So it was a wrap of what will happen, what is the schedule of Indian contingent on day 9 at the Paris Olympics.
Ashma Kumari Casey was crowned Miss Nepal World 2024 in the 28th edition of the beauty pageant. Miss Nepal World, Ashma Kumari Casey also bagged other titles like the Face of the Year. Somana Keshi and Karuna Rawat won the titles of Miss Nepal Earth and Miss Nepal International. Somana Casey secured the other 2 titles, Beauty with a Purpose and Miss Hygiene. Ashma Kumari Casey holds a bachelor's degree in social work. In the final round of the competition, she gave a winning answer to a question about climate change. And the two-day Akashvani Music Concert 2024 is being held at Akashvani's Rang Bhavan Auditorium in New Delhi. Renowned artists including Pandit Rajendra Prasanna and Pandit Jai Tirath Mevundi performed on Saturday. Alright, that's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at In Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.